run out to see this movie on Thursday night so I could review it on Friday morning. But I wanted to go and see it with an excited audience. You know, an audience that wanted to be there, right? Because a lot of people have been giving this movie a hard time, which is totally undeserving. But I could see from advanced ticket sales that the Friday night show was heating up, and heat up it did. It sold out. And I had a great time. It was, you know, you don't necessarily have to see this movie in theaters, and I suspect many of you will opt not to. It doesn't scream full price movie ticket, and that's fine. Catch it at some point. It's very good. You're going to want to see this eventually, and I think this is going to do really well in the ancillary market. But if you're looking for something to see this weekend or in the next couple of weeks, it was a very fun movie-going experience. All right, so screenwriting duo Mark Silverstein and Abby Kohn have paid their romantic comedy dues. They've actually been working in Tinseltown for quite some time, but now as they finally make their directorial debut, good for them, they've knocked one out of the park. Yes, while their previous scripts were certainly cute and entertaining, I've enjoyed a couple of these movies, as I'm sure some of you have as well. I Feel Pretty is much more sophisticated in that it works on multiple levels, including a strong message, not just about how crippling insecurity can be for each and every one of us. I think the movie is very relatable to anyone who is not totally an egotistical jerk. Everybody has moments where they don't feel good about themselves. But it also shows that self-confidence is not just the most likable, but also the sexiest quality that a person can have, which I think people too often forget. So this is just a great movie on that alone, that puts that message out there and reminds people. Now, speaking of putting a person in their best light, this is a perfect vehicle for Amy Schumer, who also produces, but interestingly, has no writing credit. She might have improvised a line or two on set, and I'm sure she had some input as a producer. But the reason I mention writing specifically is because, of course, what made Schumer initially famous was her sketch work on her Comedy Central show, where she was very much involved at every level. And there, her comedy was not only funny, but it included smart, searing, yet still good-natured commentary on society. I thought that work was stellar, and I was sad to see it fade away, that element of her comedy, when she went to the big screen. So I'm so happy to see it back. Now here, Schumer has the very tough task of selling both the devastating self-loathing her character feels for herself. She'll break your heart in the beginning of this movie. She really did a great job. But then she has to totally do a 180 and sell her genuine belief that her wish has come true and her physical appearance has truly changed. And she hits each and every note perfectly. She has her own special effect. What she sees in her mind's eye, she to some degree actually makes the audience see. Well, it's more about the self-confidence. We're going to get to that. But I want to point out that Schumer takes what is the opposite of a vanity role. I mean, think about signing on to play such a character in image-conscious Hollywood, right? She takes this role and she turns it into her greatest performance yet, which only underlines the message of the movie itself. She did just what the movie is promoting. And it's fabulous. It's so great. And aside from the brilliant high concept idea of a big style wish, a movie which, by the way, is referenced in this movie, only seeming to come true to the person who made the wish. That's just such a brilliant idea. But what's also brilliant about the script is that it would have been easy to just have a bunch of misunderstandings and, mistakes that, play into, this Schumer's character of Renee having her life turn around. But instead, it's clear to the audience and everyone in the movie around Amy Schumer's Renee, but herself, that her life is turning around because of her newfound self-confidence. And that, again, makes her more attractive. It makes her more likable. It gives her this new lease on life. And that's great. It's because that makes it real, which is, of course, the point of the movie. Not like a great week that she had in her life and then, she truly does change. I don't want to give too much away, but she truly does change her life. And she has a nice commentary on that toward the end of the movie when she has to make a presentation in, typical rom-com female comedy style, right? There's always that scene at the end of the movie, a work presentation, etc., that ties into the story. But it's great. And Renee, the character that Amy Schumer plays, is such a wonderfully written and realized character by Schumer that you get to marvel at the true transformation of the character and are, of course, rooting for someone who, free of inhibitions, is genuinely the total package. What a fantastic woman. So likable, so great, so charismatic. Just leaps off the screen. Loved it. And then Schumer, though, while it is very much her show, she gets some fantastic assists from a nuanced supporting cast played by some very good actors. Now, for instance, Schumer's Renee feels that she's having this perfect rom-com romance with Ethan, right? But comedian Rory Scovel not only does a great job showing the grounded reality of their realistically developing relationship, it was great, it was really great, but also that men can feel just as insecure as women. I thought that was a really nice touch in the movie. Loved it. And then Michelle Williams and Emily Ratajkowski, who I've never liked in a movie before. She always just seemed like some model who's like, oh, sure, acting seems easy. But here she was, I mean, it just goes to show how important a good script is. But credit to Emily Ratajkowski as well for playing the role well. But both of them managed to portray the idealized women that Renee initially wishes that she is like, but at the same time make those women seem very real and including their own insecurities. I thought that was great. Like they didn't vilify those women, which I think, again, the movie could have easily done as a scapegoat for, stale comedy. And then also Tom Hopper as a potential rival for Ethan, and Busy Phillips and Adie Bryant also hit all the right notes in their roles. Perhaps one of the nicest things about the movie is that it not only shows that deep down we all have our own insecurities, but that also we're all basically pretty darn nice. I thought that was great. I really liked that element as well. I mean, sure, there are a few rude people in the film, but they come and go just like rude people should in real life, right? Although I do have to give a shout out to Sasheer Zamata, who, got a lot of attention for, bringing diversity to the female cast on Saturday Night Live for a few seasons, but then, quite noticeably, they never actually used her in any sketches. And, you might have thought it was because she, just couldn't quite make the cut, right? But I have to say here, she proved to be very good. And she was playing one of those rude people, and she only has like 2 scenes, but she did a really nice job in both of them. I think that, as much as Amy, comedy is very much about being able to interact with the other characters, just like, improv, yes, and, it's bouncing jokes off of other people. And so some of the scenes, particularly when Amy Schumer, Renee first, she feels her wishes come true after hitting her head. I think Sasheer Zamata did a lot to sell that scene as well and deserves the credit. So good for her, and I'm glad she got another opportunity. I Feel Pretty, in conclusion, is an extremely well-made female comedy that I would actually put on par with Sandra Bullock and Reese Witherspoon's best work in the genre. And I hope that it eventually, if not in theaters, gets recognized. Again, I think that this is going to be something that people watch secretly because Amy Schumer, of course, is persona non grata right now, and I hope she's learned her lesson about, overstepping what people want to hear from her. But I have to say, I am aware of the accusations of joke stealing as well. But here, I think she proves that she doesn't need to do that if that is indeed the case. She has a lot of talent, and I think that this is a role that only Amy Schumer could play. And I really do think it deserves people's attention, not only for her performance, but again, for what the movie is underlining and promoting. So fabulous, definitely good. And again, you might not feel like it's worth paying to see in the theater, but I hope that at some point you see it because it's definitely worth checking out. All right, so that's my review of I Feel Pretty. I know some of you are sneaking out to the theater as well. I'd be curious to hear your thoughts down below. Don't spoil anything. There are a couple of really good jokes and reveals in the movie that I thought were great. But just put a spoiler warning if you want to discuss that. And again, of course, as always, you can check out some more videos right now.